isn't it? This is the teaching. Tapping into the spring is the name of chapter 2. And really what chapter 2 says to me is, what are all the devices you're using not to have your whole life? Not what are all the devices you're using so that you're not a perfect bodhisattva. Like, I don't have that aspiration. That's not even on my list. My list is a whole life where I make some kind of contribution to both myself, because remember, we have to begin there, right? Myself, and out of the full well of my own being. Doesn't mean I drive a Mercedes, though. Then I will be available, present, and show up for others and have the energy, have the aspiration, right? Have the resource to do so now. And I do have the resource. I know it's the practice. I know it is. Everyone goes, you just have that kind of constitution. No, I don't. No, I don't. That's the practice actually radiating right through me. And yes, I make time. Yes, I create opportunity. Yes, I do. I do. That's the practice. I don't hesitate. It's true. And I want that for you, because that leads to a dramatically full, rich, and whole life. That there can be no regret and remorse at its end. Whatever you did, then you did. And whatever you couldn't, and it's all okay. And people find that annoying about me. I will tell you. And it's okay with me. Libby's laughing next to me over here, because I'll go, nope, not going to do it. Nope, not going. Nope, don't have the energy. Nope, not the right place for me, with unabashed clarity. And that people find that annoying. I don't know if it's politically correct. It probably isn't. I'm pretty sure. Like, do you want to go to work? No, I don't. I don't want to go. Why? Well, that's not the best place for me to go unless I can light up around it. And I don't use my mind for that. And I want you to start doing the same. We're going to practice that today. I want to use my whole body. My friend Adrian says an easy yes. If it's an easy yes, go. And the easy yes isn't anything that comes from the mind. The easy yes comes right through the body, right from the radiant Bodhi heart. Like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go build that house in Tijuana. I'm going to raise that money. I'm going to, right? Yes, absolutely I am. Right? And that's what I want for us all. That's why we're practicing here together. I'm just going to check in and see all who's here. Satya, good morning. Nice to see you. Shivam, good morning. Chris, glad you got on this morning. There's someone here I don't know, maybe Adriana or Adriana. Good morning. Welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. All right, wonderful group. Here we go. I'm going to read the quote from the top. In fact, anybody have their book? You read it. I don't need to read it. Can you find the quote from Albert Einstein at the top of chapter 2 from The Places That Scare You? I have it here, but let's hear somebody else's voice for a minute. There's the book. I do happen to have 2 more copies, paperback, if anybody needs it. But this is mine. It's a little hardcover. I got to tell you what's delicious about my book, and these are all used, is that it has the best notes in it I've ever read. And it could have been a part of the book. That's how beautiful. Not only her writing, I don't know if anybody can see that, but her the words she writes. It's absolutely stunning. And she does it every page. It's almost like art. It's that gorgeous. Anybody else have the book and be able to click on to read that quote?
I have it if you want.
Oh, okay. You go ahead.
No, go, Brenda. I want you to go.
Okay. All right. A human being is a part of the whole called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separate from the rest. A kind of optical delusion of consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening the circle of understanding and compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. And sorry about the dog in the background.
No problem. That was a beautiful little exclamation point.
Yeah.
And my person who wrote the in the book, I don't know if you guys can see this. Do you see what she writes on the side of that quote? She writes, wow. Isn't that lovely? Wow. Let's stay with that. Wow. Wow. It's not just a nice idea to be compassionate, to be kind, to be caring, to be larger in heart mind. That's the bodhicitta, larger in heart mind than our own limited belief, thoughts, and concerns. But it's necessary. It's not just a good idea. It's actually necessary. And if we're going to hope to get out of this jam we're all in, right? And we're in one where we now can easily hate the other guy because of the politic, the religion. Now we're afraid, right? Because now anything can happen at any time. It's always been true. We have the job of opening ourselves more. And actually, says the teachings, then completely, like holding nothing back. What would that look like? Holding nothing back. And what would it look like? Well, it would look just like Brenda, who doesn't know us very well, just getting on to read, wouldn't it? Like, I'm going. I don't know. I don't know if I'll get the words right. Does it matter? Not a bit. Does it matter? Here's Andrina just getting on, saying, good morning. Thanks for having me. That's a risk. It's vulnerable. It matters. Here we all are, right? Sitting together. And so we're going to look at chapter 2, but let's practice first. We're also going to review our practice from this week, which is why I'm only taking it one chapter at a time right now. These are fairly small chapters, but I have to say they're meaty. Every sentence, you could underline almost every one, couldn't you? They're filled with the truth. They're filled with Dharma. I'm going to take one more sip and put it down. So we don't spill, because that's an excitement we probably don't need. Let me hang on and find the rest of my bell. Okay, this is interesting. All right, we're going to use this little thing here. Use the pen. Whatever you need, right? And so we're going to gather ourselves for the practice this morning. Some of us are on a couch or on a chair or on our beds. Doesn't matter. Some of us are sitting perfect lotus. Some of us have our legs sprawled all over. Doesn't matter. Some of us have the dog next to us. Some of us have the sleeping partner. Doesn't matter. What matters? You opened your heart to this. What's this? The Dharma of this precious, still and silent moment. Let's feel into it with our whole bodies, wherever you are. Our whole being, we're opening the heart, the mind, the sense doors. Eyes are opened or closed, doesn't matter. And then we're calling to mind, however you were call to mind bodhicitta this week, I asked you, how are you going to set the aspiration for this aliveness, this openness, this embodied presence, this compassionate presence, this love? And I paid a little bit of attention to how that happened for me first, without really getting into ritual or ceremony. Like, what do I do? And actually, what I noticed happens for me is I call to mind all the people who have so graciously, so lovingly, so wholeheartedly loved me. They just flicker like a deck of cards right through the heart mind. All those who have loved me, all those blessings, because they ignite your own heart. Without knowing love, we cannot love. You have been loved. How do I know you're here? Others have cared for you. Was it perfectly? Probably not if they were human. And did it matter? It did. It got you here. And so we let that mind translate directly into the body, right into our heart space. And that's called the flash of bodhicitta, the flash of awakening. I have been loved and so am capable of love. And may we offer it completely here. We're just going to rest in this body, inviting the mind and one's attention down into the body, however you are. And we find enough support, enough stability. We take these first few breaths once the bell has struck to establish ourselves. And as we're inviting the attention into the base of the body, and for some people, they like to sweep the body, moving all the way down to the feet, the legs, the hips to begin, and just anchoring there a few breaths with the out breath. I didn't do that today. I'm sitting on a nice, cushy sofa that must be providing that amply for me. So it just drew me right into that bodhicitta heart. Just see where it went for you. No right or wrong. But I'd like you to stay there for several breaths. As we let the breath move in and out of the body freely, we're not constructing a particular kind of breath. It takes up our attention, by the way. There's a reason in this tradition we don't manipulate the breath. Doesn't mean it's not good to do. We don't do it during this practice. You're letting the body breathe you. It tells you a little something about the heart mind. And see what you notice. Along with the breath and our attention, we're always going to bring a gentle, friendly curiosity. And there's a typical kind of inquiry here, which is, how am I really? And not only how am I by thinking, it's not a very good litmus. How am I by feeling? And so we drop as completely as we can into the body and into the breath. With that friendly curiosity. This is the beginning, the first radical act of love and compassion, attending, turning towards, and opening to oneself. Radical act of love. And we don't do it enough. And so, with each breath, see if you can't find a way to nourish that heart mind. Creating space and room for our tender hearts. Remember, we've decided that the Bodhi heart is always tender. And rather than graft on love or compassion, the teachings say it is best to turn towards that tenderness, maybe even that tightness, as the beginning of recognizing and acknowledging this relative bodhicitta, the truth of our humanness here. Rather than be typically condemning, critical, judgmental, can we just greet ourselves exactly as we are? Can you find that place in the breathscape, in the heart, the diaphragm, the belly, the abdomen, where you can rest the mind with some amount of ease? And pay attention. Just one breath at a time. And whether you know it or not, you're actually training right here in unconditional bodhicitta. You're training to greet yourself however you are, bored, distracted, tired, sleepy, restless, annoyed, frustrated, wanting something else. It's all fine. That we greet ourselves with that open, awakened heart. And last week we stayed directly in the heart space. We just breathed in, got a physical felt sense, did a lot of sensing of the heart space as best we could, and did our best to stay what? Present and friendly. We're allowing the body to soften with each out breath. Let it hang on the hanger of the skeleton. Nothing to prop up. And then I'd like you to move a little closer. Find a place in the body, particularly in that breathscape if you can. We often use limbs and others. We can get distracted a bit there. See if you can stay in the breathscape, just finding a place that feels a bit tender, vulnerable, open. I'm going to have to sweep the breathscape a little bit for that. Breathe the breath into the whole of the breathscape. Don't keep it tight in one area. That will widen the lens. And if things are feeling fairly neutral, just keep the lens wide on that breathscape, watching for variations, breath by breath. Noticing a little light activity tucked way up into my upper lung lobes. I think I hide some stuff up there. Noticing a kind of energetic sense more than a sensation, a little bit achy. Remember, the bodhicitta heart is often breaking, opening by breaking. and aching, and its tenderness. Sometimes we find it first in our tightness. We find the armor before we find the experience. And the tightness works as well because just beneath that is that tenderness. Just rest the mind in that sense wherever you can get that. And I want you to commit yourself to opening with that friendly, unconditional, welcoming attention, with that curiosity, that interest, that non judgment. These are all essential attitudes that come with our attention. And then, really, what's more important today is I want you to notice what pulls you away. And by the way, it will be something. We don't like turning towards our vulnerability, our openness, our achiness, our tenderness, our tightness, our restlessness, or whatever's in there, our numb. But I'm going to ask you to stay with commitment. I want you to see what pulls you away. This was part of our teaching this week in chapter 2. Are you drawn away by sense door experiences? Oh, that pleasant sound? Are you drawn away by the to-do list of the mind? Are you drawn away by that replay of that conversation? What was said or not said by you or another? These are the three lords of form. We use them all. Let's just rest in this for a while, seeing what we notice. Making contact, seeing what pulls us away. And then just gently noting it. Oh, there's the to-do list. There's the thinking about time. Well, there's another body sensation that seems way more interesting and way more pleasant. Acknowledge, gently note, and then I want you to come back to that area of the body, that tender, achy part. If this is confusing for you, you can always check in first with that base sense of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. You can just make contact with that active part in the breathscape and then notice, is it pleasant? Might be craving it. Unpleasant? Might be trying to avoid it. Or neutral? I can't even find it. And no matter what the experience, no matter how it is appraised, I'd like you to invite the Bodhi heart that says, and I will stay. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Sensations will change. The experience may change from pleasant to unpleasant to neutral and back again. This is the constant change of impermanence. And more importantly, today, we're not looking at that as much as what does the heart mind do with that? And remembering whatever strategies, whatever habits, whatever the distractions, whatever the wanting or the not wanting mind, the heart of bodhicitta holds it all. I can be with myself in the ache. I can be with myself in the change. I can stay and move closer and breathe into and be with whatever is here, including my resistant mind, including my distracted mind towards sound, including the I'm not sure I'm getting it right. I've always been bad at this. And the recognition itself is the beginning of bodhicitta. That is the wisdom factor, the recognition itself. Well, there I am. There's the habit. It's pretty familiar. I've lost the whole front feeling in my body. This is pretty familiar for me, but I'm noticing it's actually radiating in the back. And this is good news. You may be noticing the habits of get over it, get on with it, just get to the breath. This is a dramatic harshness that we are very familiar with. There's a lot of demand that shows up in our practice. Can you see it? and the heart of bodhicitta will feel for you. The harsher, the more demanding, the more pressure, the more perfectionistic, the more personal we make sensations. That's what we're doing in life. And rather than judge, condemn, criticize, cut off, or shut down, we're trying to bring that awakened heart mind right into that part of the body mind and open. Create space and room for it all, for the sensation, for the achy heart, for the mind that wishes it were just all gone. We can open to it all. The Bodhi heart is vast, boundless, infinite. It receives, accepts, and holds everything. Doesn't matter what it is. The harsh thought, the achy back, it's all fine. There's room here. And if all distractions, if all fears, I didn't mean to say fears, I meant to say judgments, if all demands are fear, some form of fear, what is the fear? And can we open to that too? And the answer is yes, we can. What is the fear? It's going to last forever. It's going to get worse. It's going to flatten me so that I can't function. I could lose everything. Nope. That's just the storyline. And as we're breathing into this body, into that achy tenderness, how does fear show itself in the body, not just the mind? Is there a tightness, a tension, a numbness? Have you lost that whole part of the body? Because what is happening in mind is translated directly into the body. And for the last few moments of our practice today, what offering can you make from this Bodhi heart? Is it presence itself? Is it acknowledgement and recognition? Is it making an offering? A touch, a phrase, maybe an imagery? How can you attend to this tender heart, to this fear? And whatever else you do, don't do nothing, because that's just fear too. May we all be filled with loving kindness, compassion, this fearlessness. And may we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we all be happy, truly, unconditionally, breath by breath, happy. And may our practice today contribute now and always. I'd like to start with an ow. I dropped the computer on my ankle just now. And only Courtney, well, no, Libby knew it too. She heard it fall. So I'm going to take a moment and be kind to myself and just adjust that. I'm fine, thank you. Okay, so we're going to be investigating to this week and going forward a little bit. What forms of the lords of materialism, the Lord of speech, the Lord of mind, what do you notice captivates you, and also that you use. What do you use to go, get me out of here? I don't really feel like dropping in on this tightness, this restlessness, this sleepiness of mind or body, right? And remember, they translate, they inform each other completely. So when you can't figure out what's happening in the mind, drop into the body. It will have something to tell you. And when you don't know what's happening in the body, sometimes it's just arising bubble thoughts called I've got more important stuff to do. Um, that can be activating. So let's talk about this for a moment. But before that, yeah, let's talk about this for a moment because we just did the practice, and then we'll back up into a little bit the practice during the week on how you called on bodhicitta. But let's stay right here since we're here now. What did you notice of those three? We're going to look at them in the chapter some more and inquire more this week, but just what did you pick up so far as you were dropping into there's that? I named mine, which is I go numb a little bit. It's very subtle. Then I go a little bit numb, like it's all gone. And then I notice its appearance almost always in another part of the body in a way that's can be deceptive, like they're not related. So this time I felt it in the front. It goes somewhat calm by virtue of maybe even my presence to it. I don't think that's only a bad thing. I think, well, I'm here now, the achiness can subside slightly, and then I noticed its reappearance in really the backside. And I have a left back neck habit, tightens up there. And I was going, oh, look at how clear it is that these two things are related. I could see the root from which that neck tension happens, right from the back left side of my heart. And it was a beautiful piece of information. Beautiful. What did you notice? Libby's here and Courtney's on, so I'm gonna pick on you guys.
We don't have to pick on them, Diana. I'll
All
just
right.
kinda go.
Yes, thank you. Libby's laughing and like, yay, you saved me.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Right?
Welcome back.
The prodigal
What'd you
son.
notice, Chris?
Well, the Lord of the mind, right? And you and I have talked about this a few times, and it says about addictions and how we can use the spiritual practice itself as a form of escape, which I'm guilty. I've been here with you all for a while and searching for answers in my life. I leaned pretty hard into just trying to learn everything, right? And got caught up in that. And, my breaks are in part because of that. Because I wasn't finding the peace at times. I mean, certainly making headway, but I like particularly the sentence that says, for example, new meditators, which I still consider myself to be one of those, often expect that with the training, they can transcend the pain of the ordinary life, to which I am extremely guilty of that. So that resonated with me. But I do have to say, as he moves forward, where he talks about the 60s when people took LSD every day, I begin to wonder, maybe they had it right.
Maybe just blowing your mind up is the way to go.
But no, the first part of that really resonated
Yes.
with me.
Yes, and I talk about this honestly, openly myself. I had at least a 9-year practice, maybe now a 27 or 8-year practice, where there's some part of me always looking for the shortcut, always looking for the way out, always looking for well, then it'll at least be less. Then when I die, it won't be so horrible. Maybe. And I don't think that's wrong. I think this is the path to the end of suffering, by the way. And I don't mean just this as an ism. I actually mean paying attention, bringing one's whole heart, staying when we'd rather check out. These are the things I'm talking about. That's the Dharma. I don't care what ism it is at all. And so if you can find a better ism, do it. Do it. But I want you to be careful, because what I know is that frequently we're just wrapping ourselves around another distraction. Aren't we? Frequently, I'm going to go with, in my 28 years, almost, well, let me go to officially always. Officially always. It's very easy to go, well, I'll travel more. I'll eat better. I'll exercise, I'll stretch every day. And again, we're never going to condemn the thing, are we? Well, let's not do it. That's completely misunderstood, right? So really, microdosing, okay, I happen to know that there's some benefits there. Is that the solution? Well, we have to be careful. Could it be a contribution to some, whatever the thing? It doesn't mean it wouldn't be a good thing, but is this the path to the end of suffering? It is one shard on the path. But is it the path? No. No, don't mistake it. So whenever you go, this is it, I finally found it, be careful, right? I got it now. This is going to fix it all. That's dangerous thinking, isn't it? It's just dangerous, and it's wrong. We don't have to be fixed. Do we? No. Pain is pain. Heartache is heartache. Grief is grief. Hatred is hatred. Aggression is aggression. What does this practice say? We better get to know it well. Because the poison, says the slogan, turns out to be the medicine. The poison itself turns out to be the medicine. Wow. Right. Shivam, you're on. I'm going to check in with you to see if you have anything to add. Thank you, Chris, so much. It is all true. We're going to keep breaking that down for ourselves, aren't we?
Well, so today in practice was strange. I think I had 100 pains in my body, right? I mean, my neck, my shoulders, my leg, and I'm sitting on my cushion because that's where I need to sit in this room. But I was allowing it to distract me. I was not, every now and then I'd say, okay, just sit with this one. But then I'd let it distract me and I'd move my shoulder and my neck. And it took almost the entire practice to realize what I was avoiding, which was that I was feeling dull, shut down, unfocused, that blah, that sort of unconnected state. That's what was happening. And that was my practice today.
Yeah.
And as soon as I realized that's what I was avoiding, it was weird. It actually sort of cleared up.
There's the poison is the medicine, right?
bizarre.
That's a beautiful example, Shivam, of that. We're running always from something and to something, right? If you could keep checking in on that, what's this? The distraction is both, isn't it? It's getting away from something I don't want. It's almost always I'm trying to get to something I like better, want better, even believe should be happening more, right? We do that too, don't we? I should be feeling something. Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
What? Like, I don't know, maybe not anything. Like maybe today the body's just like this. And can we greet that, open to that, abide, right? This is where our shamatha practice kicks in a little bit, and rest with the truth of this. First, the truth of the front lobe. Okay, the truth of the numbness. Okay, the truth of the back activating. Okay, the truth of the back activating and shooting up that left neck. I'm just using my own experience going, ooh, that's a little interesting. That's what happens to me pretty regularly. I never caught it all the way down in that left heart space like I did today. right? Am I going to make a story out of that? I am not.
Mm.
I'm just going to say, wow, noticing. Now I'm going to pay a little more attention. Aren't I? The insight is in the experience itself. Dull, numb, deadened, painful, right? Really, the what isn't actually the point. And we all start there, don't we? We go, I got the what, I just don't like that one. I don't
Well,
want that one.
you know, what was interesting when I got to the place of feeling dull, numb, shut down, you know, and just allowed that. And I said that sort of dissipated, but that was covering up feeling something very vulnerable in my life right now.
Yep.
And so it took the whole practice to finally get there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how beautiful
Yep.
is that? How beautiful. Because that vulnerability, let's not mistake it, that is the heart of bodhicitta. That's the heart of bodhicitta. We can't be bodhisattvas. You can call that whatever you want. A good person, a kind person, a present person, a show up person. I don't use the word that works for you. We can't do it without that heart. I can't do it without that ache. Can I? If I'm not aching, how the hell am I going to feel for you? Really? And that's not a joke, is it? How am I going to feel for you if I'm deadening, numbing, distracting, addicting, eating caramel corn? Right. How is that possible? Well, I don't know. I don't think it is. Yeah. And what do? We transmute the whole thing into this is the evidence for my fucked upness. Don't we? Right? Don't we? Everybody nod. Nodding. Don't we? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. There it is. There it is. My fucked upness. I got to hide that. I better tuck that in. I better talk about bliss. I better talk about calm. I better talk about equanimity. I better talk about how I got it all together. You better not hear, because I'll only call you out from there. I'll never call you out on going, it hurt like this. Well, that's true. I didn't want to be here like that. Well, that's true. I'd rather smoke crack than show up. Yep. Okay. I'm with you. I'm with you. Right? The only thing that fear does is deadness. Really. And then we can't even have our own lives and our own, right? There's no path to joy, I promise, without feeling that first, without feeling exactly what Shivam just said first. There's no path to joy. Who believes me? No path to joy without that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you're going to try to go around, and so am I. You're going to try to get out of this, and so am I. Right? And we're just going to hold each other here like it's okay. It's okay. We can do it together, right? We're going to go, okay, I don't like the idea, but if you go, I'll go. Right? If you're going in, I'll go in, but I'm not going in alone. Well, you don't have to. That's not the practice. All right. Thank you, guys. I want to get to the book. This is a short chapter. Let me see if I can't pull it up, because Chris has beautifully recited some of the gorgeous phrasing in this particular chapter. So I'm going to pull it up. I'm not going to go back right now, but I do want you to call it up this week. I'm not going to go back to how did you call up bodhicitta, but I want you to be thinking about it this week. How do you call it up every day? And by the way, we know for sure, and the neuroscience is backing us 100%, if you don't do that with intention, it will not arise. It will not arise. It doesn't mean it's not there, but you have to call it up. Now, they say this in every spiritual tradition, don't they? Call up Yahweh, call up Muhammad, call up Jesus, right? Whatever your sources are, We're just saying that source, oh, by the way, that's you. It's you. How are you calling it up? Are you calling it by a name? Are you calling it with an image? Are you calling it with a gesture? How are you doing it? And if you're not doing it, it's not there. Not because it's not present, but because you can't access it. And
Can I
want
ask a
you to feel
question?
it. Yes.
So I understand what you're saying and the importance of setting intention, but how does that work with also seeking silence? Do you know what I mean? Like if we're
yeah.
trying to be silent, how are we also cultivating an intention?
Intention always comes before silence and stillness, and also is always occurring from within it. So the right intention, they say, is already embedded, embodied in stillness, silence, and vast open space. That's the Bodhi heart. It's already there. And so I stay still for a few minutes in my bed, for example. I just rest, breathe in, I awaken the whole body. I just do a little gentle sweep. I usually end up resting in the heart space. And then I make a call. I make a call. But you're right. It both comes from it and actually has to be held by it. That's all actually true. You may be mistaking stillness and silence for nothing.
Ah, yes, that is a possibility.
Yeah, you may be mistaking it for nothing. That's not true. Stillness and silence are the natural attributions of the Bodhi heart. Space, you can use other words like, right, empty. They use in Zen, of course, they use the word empty, but we all hate that word, right? Because for us, that means nothing. Well, it doesn't. It means so open, so boundless, so spacious, it's unmeasurable. But from there, we all act. From that Bodhi heart, those are the characteristics of the Bodhi heart. We all then act, speak, think. Right? We manifest then. But yes, you're right. Intentions need to come out of a certain kind of activated Bodhi heart. And then we spend the rest of the day, I do too, having to reactivate, reconnect. And I do that by dropping into moments of stillness. I do. I breathe right into the heart for 5 or 10 breaths. That's the way I wake up that bodhicitta in me. It's always there. I don't have to create it. It already exists, but I want to make contact with it. Intentioned, conscious, on purpose. And that we have to call up. Does that make sense, Kelly? Hopefully. Okay.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, good, good. So here we're gonna, I love this paragraph. If we don't hold a paragraph for the week, do this one. This is on the second or third page. It says, finding the basic goodness of bodhicitta is like this, tapping into a spring of living water always available that has been temporarily encased in solid rock. Well, that solid rock is what? Fear. That's the solid rock of fear. It's encased in solid rock, just fear, just humanness. It's okay. When we touch the center of sorrow, when we sit with discomfort without trying to fix it, when we stay present to the pain of disapproval or betrayal, and let it, I love this line. Wait till you hear this. And let it soften us. And let it soften us. Instead of what? Separate us, disconnect us, numb us, tighten us up. Let it soften us. These are the times that we connect with bodhicitta. That's the instruction right there. Let it soften us. Whatever it is. And then it doesn't matter what it is, does it? The ache, the body, the mind, the right, the emotion, it's all fine. Let it soften us. We have to drop in on it. We have to be willing to stay. That's non-negotiable. I don't know a way around that. I don't know way. I don't know how certain traditions do it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they attend to the reality of our humanness with just bliss. I have not been able to figure this out. It doesn't mean bliss doesn't come. It does. Remember what I said? Joy is not possible. Unconditional bliss, not possible without knowing how to attend to the truth of our humanness. I haven't figured it out. If you remember, let's talk. If you can find the way around it. I keep trying, by the way. I keep trying to find it. All right. So it says tapping into that shaky and tender place has a transformative effect. It does you. You don't have to do more than the practice we just did. And Shivam said so. Didn't she? She said so. I didn't. I was just hanging out with that, going, let's try to get more comfortable, try to do something else, try to feel more, try to something. Well, forget it. Oh, okay, there it was. There's the door. There's the doorway. Let's just be with this. I got nowhere to go. And then, right, awakened, present, then everything's okay. By the way, I don't know if it hurts less. I'm not sure. I don't think it's true. I don't think you stop necessarily doing all that. You're just doing it in the heart of bodhicitta. And so it doesn't mean what it meant before. It doesn't mean I'm all failed. It doesn't mean I'm hopeless. It doesn't mean I'm just resting in complete fear trying to get out of my life. And so it's a big relief, she says. Genuine acts of kindness naturally arise from this. Yes, it's true. And Shivam said so too, didn't she? She said, when I finally just went, okay, it's going to look like this. That's kindness. Here it is. Okay, I'll just love you like this, is what she said, didn't she? I'll just love you like this. Okay, showing up just like that. Tender like this, restless like this, antsy like this. No problem. Because the heart of bodhicitta and the mind can hold it all. Although we have the potential to experience the freedom of a butterfly, we mysteriously prefer the small and fearful cocoon of ego. What is that? My habits. What's the fearful cocoon? My habits. What are they? We're going to look at them this week. What are those habits? You're fearful, always fearful, always. I don't care how much you think you like them, always fearful habits. And they're always egoic. She goes on to talk about an example. The tragedy of experiencing ourselves as apart, separate from everyone else, is the delusion that becomes the prison that keeps us small. The prison that keeps us small, shut down, locked up, and miserable. When the barriers come down, we don't know what to do. We don't. We get a little scared there too, and that's okay. I don't even know what to do with all this yet. That's okay. That's right. You don't. I don't know what to do with all these feelings. People tell me that every day. I don't want to feel this. I don't know what to do with this. I can't stand it. I say, yes, you can, breath by breath. Yes, you can, because it's already happening. We're going to take it slow. It's we have to be what she's saying here at this top sentence is, we have to be told that fear and trembling accompany growing up. Isn't that interesting? It's not like because you're grown up, you shouldn't feel it. It's the opposite. It's because we feel it, we know we're growing up. We're growing up, and that takes courage. Allowing and acknowledging the fear takes courage. My son and I were just talking at breakfast with Libby, and he was talking about why he wasn't doing anything. Why he wasn't doing anything. And what did he say? He said exactly what we all say. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid I'll fail. And like you might, right? I can't guarantee that that won't happen, except you'll learn something, you'll know something, you'll get smarter, you'll get wiser, you'll get, right? And you'll get kinder from that very failure. Because then you'll see others fail too. And rather than condemn them, you'll go, yeah, there it is. Right? The truth of our humanness. Right? I don't want him to apologize for his fear. I just want him to recognize it. What do I do? This is the key question this week, folks. What do I do when I feel I can't handle what's going on? That's the question. What do I do when I feel like I can't handle what's going on? Well, this is where Kelly's stillness and silence is useful. We need to be still a minute to see the impulse, to see the will, to see the volition, to see the mind's movement as well as the body's movement away from what? The present moment, away into thinking, away into addictive patterns, away into binge TV, away into I'd rather be in the garden. Not because gardens are bad, but away from the present moment. What do I do? And we have to ask. Let's get to the three lords. Here's the three lords of materialism. They're also called the three lords of form. Form, the way we then enact or act. And here they are. They're all shields. They're all against to shut down or close off ourselves from our tenderness. That's their strategy. That's the whole point of them. They take us out of temporarily our experience with the present moment, might include our fear, and give us what? The illusion of security. The pretend, nothing real. You're just wearing a costume. There's no truth in it. And she names the three. The first one is the, I can't find it. I want to find it for you. I don't want to. Let's see if I can, whoop, no. I don't think I should have passed them all here. So the Lord of Form is the first. That one is the seeking of things, substances, material goods. I'll get the trip, I'll get the new couch, I'll get the boyfriend, I'll get a thing out there, as simply all that means. I'll go get an external thing to make it better. I'll get Botox, I'll get new earrings, I'll get a new boyfriend, I'll get a new e-bike, whatever it is I think I'm getting. Again, we're not going to fault the thing. We're going to fault the belief, thought in the attack. If I can only get this, then my life will be better and I can be happy and less pained, fearful, grief-stricken, disappointed, whatever, the whatevers. Everybody gets that one, right? We live in a place where that one is used quite extensively. Make a phone call, she says. Do something else. The radical approach of bodhicitta is to pay attention to what we do. Without judging it, we train in kindly acknowledging whatever is going on, including your material devices, your strategies, your addictions. The second is the Lord of Speech, how we use beliefs. Chris was talking about this. I found this new method. I found this new practice. I found this new community, and this is going to get me out of suffering. Well, again, it isn't because the Dharma is not correct, but we're using the isms whether it is political, religious, ecological, and what we mostly do with these, and I want you to pay attention to this week. I notice it myself, is we judge others. That's its point. The whole point of these beliefs is we use them as protective devices and separate ourselves. You're not one of those, oh, you don't meditate, oh, too bad. Too bad for you. You'd be better if you were a meditator. You'd be better if you recycled. You'd be better if you did it like me, is actually the point of that. Whether it's political, spiritual, or other, we're all using it. Be watchful. Be watchful. The newer the practitioner, by the way, the more they're tending to use it. Like if only you did this, you could be cool too. You could be out of suffering too. You'd be enlightened like me. Uh-oh. Watch that. That's dangerous stuff there. The problem isn't the beliefs themselves. In fact, sometimes beliefs are actually embedded in truths. The truth is how we're using them. And that's the key. It's already 8:30. I want to just quickly go to the other one. The other one is the Lord of Mind. And let me see if I can find it for us. We attempt to avoid uneasiness by seeking special states of mind. This can be big habits with people who do plant-based ceremony. You can use this by going, oh, if I could only get to that state, and then if I could only figure out how to stay there. Again, I'm not saying that those things cannot be valuable, but if you cannot integrate it, then this is where our focus now is in things like plant-based medicine work. If you can't integrate it into your daily life, it's worth nothing. Forget it. It's just a moment. It's just an experience. Take a roller coaster ride. It's cheaper. Don't bother with this. I don't care what you saw. I don't care what you thought you saw. If you can't go from that insight, I'm going to translate this into wisdom, which is now going to be translated into virtue, called a new way of being, literally embodied. And that's part of the beauty of the plant medicines, right? Is that embodied felt sense that we then have to keep enlivening, keep integrating, keep working with. Okay, that's the key of this chapter. She goes on to say real experiences, ordinary experiences can then become pretty flat. Like, wait, there's no symbols, there's no bells, there's no color, there's no geometric shapes, there's no demons and angels or entities flying around anymore. I like that. Well, you can like it, but if you're looking for it as the path, you can get in trouble. It's highly addicting. We have to be careful. And then the word integration comes up again. We all have habits. The work this week is to look, what are you using? We're going to make a list this week. What are you using as your lords of materialism? What are you using? Are you going to get something from outside? Are you looking for a special state of mind? Are you espousing, proselytizing with some kind of speech? Be watchful of these habits. They are taking you away from you. They are not bringing you closer to the heart of Bodhicitta, that open place that aches. And that's the way I know it. That's the way I know it aches, and it's okay. All right, any questions before we go? I know we started a few minutes late. We get this idea. What's going on? Where's my mind going instead of here? And how am I using that? It's a part of your storyline. How am I using it to get away from or separate from the true heart of bodhicitta, the one that breaks and knows the truth of suffering, and consequently, what? Chooses to stay. Right? All right. I will just draw my hands to my heart, wishing you all happiness, safety, well-being, and ease. And may we stay close to each other, close to ourselves, and close to these teachings this week. I will write something for you as a support, and may we all keep opening, right? Keep opening towards that true nature, that true heart of bodhicitta. And may this practice strengthen us and make it so. All right, everyone, be well, be well. Here from Idlewild. It's gorgeous up here today. It's amazing. Yeah, oh, Libby says show you out the window. So I will, because it's so stunning as to be crazy. We're in a little tiny cabin called Owl Pine. Let's see. Can you guys see out there? Up the mountain. It is gorgeous. Hope you got a little view. All right, everyone. Chris, so good to see you this morning. Courtney, Shivam, so good. Thank you guys for jumping in. I know that's not easy. We're always sure that what we have to say is going to for sure describe us as a completely failed individual. Actually, it's the opposite, isn't it? It's the opposite. We go, oh, thank God for you.
Be willing to hurt every day.
Be willing to hurt every day, Libby just said. Let's practice together. All right, everyone, be well. Mwah. To all of you, I will write something up probably this evening. Be working on chapter 3. That's a pretty big chapter. There's some pretty important stuff in there. We're going to take it chapter by chapter for a few weeks till we get ourselves in the pattern. I'll look forward to seeing you all then. Everybody be well.